Hello, Ashenmore here, and this week my opponent is Big Shone of the Tennessee Red Gyarados. And of course, on his team logo, you can see the iconic skyline of Nashville, including the ubiquitous Batman building. But I digress. You came here to see Pokemon after all, not have me reminisce about lovely old Tennessee. So, right now, I am 2-3 in the standings, and I'm looking to tie it up this week against the current league leader, who is 5-0. So let's see how we're going to try to win this fight. The first Pokemon I'm going to bring is Licky Licky. He's going to be my lead. His special coverage is pretty ridiculous, and I have not run him special yet. He can net 2 KOs on basically every single thing on his team with this moveset. The problem is it has to use Expert Belt, and it has to be modest in order to actually do this. Now, in the last slot, I decided to put Knockoff. That is there basically because he might not expect that. A lot of the times I've been running, banded Licky Licky or Licky Licky with Explosion, something like that. So my thought this time is, show that I'm special. Maybe he starts switching into it, and I get to get rid of a lot of items for free. So that's kind of the idea here. Next up, we have Thunderous T, and he is going to be Choice Scarp. Specifically, this is my tech to counter a speedy Mamoswine, so if he's got Choice Scarp on Mamoswine, which he has run several times, or if he manages to get his Gyarados to +1, this is also our solution to that. Thunderbolt will kill the Gyarados at +1, whether it's Mega'd or not. If it has already Mega'd, it can also go Grass Knot. That is also a guaranteed kill. That also deals with the Alamomola with either of those moves. The Dark Pulse is there to finish off the Latios later on, potentially, and Hidden Power Fire is there to hit Vikavolt, and then the Amoonguss and Ferrothorn. Now, specifically, as far as Amoonguss and Ferrothorn go, I only expect to see one of those, and I only expect to see really Ferrothorn. The reason why is because I have Alola Marowak. I bring it quite a lot. I do not think that he's going to risk bringing a whole bunch of stuff that's weak to it. But we'll see. Next, I'm going to bring in Como-o. Como-o is kind of my I'm going to kill everything with this Mon for this week. The idea is that we're going to go Dragon Dance. And once we hit a +1 on Dragon Dance, we can kill almost everything on his team. Obviously, still Scarf Mamoswine is a bit of a problem. So we are going to be running Focus Sash. If we can be at full health when we come up against the Mamoswine, and he does go for that Icicle Crash, he will not kill us thanks to the Focus Sash. We will reverse kill him with Drain Punch. So that's kind of the idea behind this set. Another thing to think of is the Mimikyu, right? So if the Mimikyu comes in against Como, he's going to expect a switch. And even if I don't switch, generally speaking, he's going to be able to win that exchange because he'll Swords Dance and he'll be able to survive whatever move I do thanks to the disguise. The idea behind this is he Swords Dances, I stay in and I kill his disguise, and then I hit Iron Head and he takes me down to the 1% and breaks Focus Sash, and I kill him with the Iron Head. So that's the general idea behind this particular Como set. Then we've got Celesteela. Celesteela is going to be running just basic coverage moves, and it's going to be an all-around physical and specially defensive tank. Heavy Slam obviously kills a lot of stuff. Giga Drain will allow it to sustain itself against Mamoswine and Gyarados, as well as break Substitute on Mega Gyarados. And Flamethrower is obviously going to deal with the Ferrothorn, which can otherwise wall the hell out of us. One thing to note here. I put Toxic on this set because I expected Rotom Heat to switch in on it, or Latios to switch in on it, because his main ways of dealing with this is Overheat on the Overheat on the Rotom Heat, or Electrium Z on the Latios. Those are the main things. That's kind of the logic behind Toxic. What I should have thought about here is not bringing Toxic, because all of his main tanks are immune to Toxic. It does not really help me, and a lot of his other things are going to be running Substitute, and I'm very, very aware of that fact. I should have here run Hidden Power Electric, or Shockwave, and that would have allowed me to break a non-Megad Gyarados substitute. Because currently with this build, I cannot do that. And that's going to come into play later. Next, we're going to be bringing Diancie. We're only going to be bringing 2 moves, Moonblast and Diamond Storm for offense. That's really all that we need. We could run Hidden Power Fire for the Ferrothorn, but I don't really think that that's necessary. We have plenty of other ways to deal with that already. Heal Bell is going to be there so that we can cure burns off of the Como-O, just in case Rotom Heat decides to paralyze and or burn things. That's kind of the idea behind that. I'm also bringing Substitute. I figure I can substitute against a couple of different things, and that will allow Diancie to actually take out the Mamoswine or other things that would normally beat it. And then, as the last Pokemon that I'm bringing, I'm going to be bringing Greninja. Life Orb, completely physically invested. This will allow us with Night Slash to OHKO any variant of Latios, does not matter what it is. Scald allows us to kill Mamoswine no matter what. U-Turn will do a huge number to Latios. It will also break the Mimikyu if it decides to switch in on me, anything like that. Taunt will prevent things from boosting. It'll also prevent Ferrothorn from setting up hazards. Overall, I think it's a pretty good set for Greninja for this particular matchup. And as far as like how I expect the matchup to play out, I kind of expected Latios, Mamo, Mimikyu, Ferrothorn, Gyarados, and then some combination of other things, probably Rotom Heat, maybe Vikavolt. Did not expect to see Ferrothorn and Amoonguss, but that's it for the team building portion of the video. Now we'll get into the battle and see how this actually played out. Welcome to the battle portion of the video. You can see the 2 team lineups here. On the other side, I notice he's got the Amoonguss and he's got the Ferrothorn. Did not expect to see both of them. I think his logic was that he could force my Alola Marowak out in team building, and I would just not bring it in the first place because Mamoswine and Gyarados are too threatening for it. In which case, good prediction. He was entirely correct about that. So I'm not too happy to see both of those guys. I know that the Amoonguss is going to be quite a pain, but I'm still going to go out with my Licky Licky, expecting him to lead Ferrothorn. So, I'll throw out the Licky Licky. He'll throw out Ferrothorn. He actually scouts my move with Protect rather than set up any hazards. Flamethrower is scouted there. I expect he's going to switch, and I get a free knockoff on the Rotom, getting rid of a Life Orb. He's going to Volt Switch. I expected him to stay in and go for an Overheat, so I went Shadow Ball. And he switched into Amoonguss to absorb that. However, I am going to predict here, he's going to go into something else, and I'm going to knock off a Roselli Berry on the Latios. I was hoping maybe he'd sack the Latios off, so I went for Shadow Ball. He switches back into Amoonguss again. It is important to note here that Roselli Berry is an anti-Fairy Berry. Had I been thinking a little bit more about it, it's really there because it speed ties the Mega Diancie, right? But if he's already expecting that to be the case, if he's already expecting to speed tie the Mega Diancie and he's running the Roselli Berry specifically for that, he may not be fully speed invested. That is something that I really should have considered at this point in the battle because of that particular tech. And that will be important later on. Anyway, we're going to go for a knockoff again. I think he might switch out of Amoonguss, but even if he doesn't, at least I'll get its recovery. So I'll do that. And then he hits me with the Spore, which I was actually not expecting. I am not a big fan of Amoonguss. I don't like Amoonguss. I don't like its design or the way it plays. And so I was not as familiar with its moveset as I really should have been. I should have really been expecting the Spore. Anyway, I realize at this point, this is his opportunity to set up with something, specifically Gyarados. So if he sends out Gyarados now and he tries to set up on it, that'd be super bad, right? So I switch into Celesteela, and he switches into Gyarados. And at this point, I'm thinking back to my team building, and I'm wondering, why did I just switch to Celesteela? I can't actually break a substitute on the Gyarados unless it's already Mega'd. So now he could go substitute, not Mega, and I can do literally nothing. So this could potentially lose me the game right here. The only option I have in order to break the substitute and not lose a Pokemon is going into the Thundurus at this point. So that is exactly what I do. However, he is going to get that free substitute up. And we'll go for the Thunderbolt. He will go for Waterfall, and he'll take most of our HP. At this point, Thundurus is in range of Ice Shard off of the Mamoswine, and so he is not functional as a counter like I wanted him to be at this point. Not an ideal situation for me right here. If I had just had that electric move instead of the Toxic on the Celesteela, could have entirely avoided this in this right here. So I'm going to go for Thunderbolt again. I don't know whether he's going to stay in or switch. I figure it's pretty safe. So I will go for it. And I will hit that Rotom Heat with the Thunderbolt. That does a lot of damage. Or not a lot of damage, but some damage. My thought here is I don't want to lose HP on something else. However, what I should have thought is I still need this Pokemon, right? I still need it for a couple of different reasons. First of all, I need it in case the Gyarados does get a Dragon Dance off. This will guarantee me being able to kill it. And potentially, we can psych out the Mamoswine with that Grass Knot. I've also still got HP Fire, which is still good against the Ferrothorn. This Mon needs to stay alive. However, I go ahead and I let it die. So we die to that Overheat, which is not ideal. We will send out the Kommo-o, expecting him to switch out with a Volt Switch. Go ahead and go for that Dragon Dance. And so he's going out into Amoonguss. I feel pretty decent here because I also, like I said, not familiar with Amoonguss's move pool, did not expect a clear Smog. So I figured, hey, this is going to be a safe, I hit him. He can't sleep me because of Sleep Claws, but he clears off my buffs. So we are going to go for another Dragon Claw. Then we go for Dragon Dance, expecting he'll go for a Dragon Dance. And this was the worst part of the whole battle. So after this turn, on my little move sets on Showdown, Drain Punch is immediately beneath Dragon Dance. Now I know for a fact 3 of his moves. He's got Waterfall, Dragon Dance, Substitute. He can only use one other move to actually, well, 2 other moves to actually kill Kommo-o here. He can go for Bounce. Bounce is not a good move for him to use. I can simply switch into Celesteela and I'll finish him off. Or even Diancie. Bounce is out of the question. Not going to happen. Ice Fang is the other one, and I heavily expected him to bring Ice Fang. The only way he kills Kommo-o with Ice Fang from here is by Mega Evolving. I know that that's the case, and so I want to go for Drain Punch. But instead, I accidentally Fat Finger Dragon Dance again, and at this point, I was really not very happy. That would have healed us back up to full, and killed the Gyarados, and that would have saved us a ton of HP on the Celesteela here. However, because I switched out before, he probably doesn't think that I have the ability to break a substitute, so that is something, at least here. Some small silver lining. So he is going to go for that sub. We are going to Giga Drain it. And then we are going to finish him off with the Giga Drain, obviously taking a ton of damage in the process. He is going to go back out into Rotom Heat. We can't take that damage. We have to switch. So we will sacrifice the Licky Licky at this point. Obviously, we're not going to wake up. Although it wouldn't have made too much of a difference, I guess, if we had. We will go into the Celesteela, hit the Ferrothorn with a Flamethrower, get Leech Seeded. I realize that I can't lose any HP off of this. He is probably going to go for a Protect, so I just switch into Greninja. Then I go ahead and I go for a Night Slash, expecting him to think I've got like Hidden Power Fire or something and switch, which he does not. Go ahead and go for Taunt. He can't do anything about it. Then I'm going to switch into Celesteela. Gyro Ball is going to do little to nothing, and we're going to force that Ferrothorn out. Now here, we probably could have gone for the Heavy Slam, and we should have. That would have finished the Latios off, because we knew he wasn't going to go in anything else. Instead, we have to go into the Diancie. And this is where that tech from before comes in, right? He had the Roselli Berry. We should have expected we'd be faster than he is. At this point, our best option is to hit Diamond Storm and hope for the defense boost. If we get that, there's literally nothing on his team that can actually kill us minus the Gyro Ball on the Ferrothorn. So we Mega, and we go for Substitute instead, because we thought maybe he'd switch, and he doesn't. It basically just cost us 25% of our HP for nothing. He is going to go to the Mamo. I'm going to expect it to be Scarf, but I can't switch at this point, and I know that. Instead, he is Salic Sub, and that is terrible for us. Because now he has a Substitute, and he's fast. Here, we make another mistake. We go for a Heavy Slam rather than a Giga Drain, which may have kept us alive through an Icicle Crash. But instead, we lose the Celesteela. Mamoswine's obviously going to go first. It's going to hit Greninja for a Truck Ton, and then we're going to die to our Life Orb Recoil. And that will be it. We will lose 0-3. I was not happy with this game. Big Sean is a great player, and he obviously knew what he was doing in the prep here, and so I say GG to that. I made several errors. Switching into that Celesteela at the beginning, that was a terrible, terrible mistake. I would have been better off leaving Licky Licky in and just praying that the sleep went away and hitting him with Thunderbolt, hopefully. That would have been fine. Switching into the Thunderous T and losing all of its HP versus the Gyarados, absolutely devastating. If I had conserved it till later, I could have beaten that Sub-Salic set on the Mamoswine and I could have saved Celesteela's HP. Misclicking the Como-O's Drain Punch and instead doing Dragon Dance, that was also a big mistake. Then using Heavy Slam against the Mamoswine Substitute instead of Giga Drain made it very, very clear that we were going to lose to that Mamoswine when we could have potentially survived that Icicle Crash. I was not very happy with the way I played in this game. I did not execute the battle well, and then I messed up in team building by not putting an electric move on the Celesteela, or at least something that could break the Gyarados Substitute, right? The team is good. We got tons of work done with Licky Licky in the beginning there. Just tons of value off of him. But a series of misplays and miscalculations and bad prep kind of lost us this game, unfortunately. So now we're at 2-4, and that's not really a great place to be at this point in the season, halfway through. Really, we have to win every single game from here on out in order to have a shot at being in the playoffs in this league. So, again, GG to Big Sean. I hope you win the whole thing. I think by far you've had the best prep out of anybody I've played against yet in the league. So I'll see you guys next week. Hopefully I'll be able to redeem myself a little bit after these big mistakes here. Anyway, see you all later.